Hidden Slaves and the Anunnaki, Modern Encounters and Fractured Hierarchies. Introduction. Across niche forums and encrypted chat groups, a surprising narrative has emerged. Select individuals claim clandestine connections to an ancient pantheon known as the Anunnaki. These modern contactees, adopting pseudonyms like the Piano Man, report telepathic communications with non-human intelligences. They describe themselves as unwilling servants beholden to hidden masters who demand secrecy and obedience. What drives these testimonies, and how do they intersect with millennia-old Sumerian lore? Anunnaki origins in Sumerian myth. The term Anunnaki first appears in 3rd millennium BCE Sumerian texts, where it designates divine offspring of the sky god Anu. These deities were charged with maintaining cosmic order, adjudicating human affairs, and overseeing the natural world. Myths recount the Anunnaki's involvement in the creation of humankind from clay, a collaboration between Enki, the god of wisdom, and Ninhursag, the mother goddess. Early cuneiform tablets depict the Anunnaki as powerful figures who shaped rivers, seasons, and laws. Theological roles and early interpretations. Sumerian hymns and administrative records emphasize the Anunnaki's dual function as both celestial architects and moral overseers. They presided over the decrees of destiny, measuring each individual's lifespan at birth. Over centuries, their worship spread across Mesopotamia, with temples in Eridu, Nippur, and Uruk honoring different divine councils. Rituals invoked the Anunnaki to secure fertility, abundant harvests, and protection from floods. The transition from offerings of grain to ritual lamentations during droughts underscored the gods' mercurial influence. Mythological evolution and reinterpretation. As successive civilizations absorbed Sumerian heritage, the Anunnaki morphed into Babylonian and Assyrian deities. Their names shifted. Enlil became the powerful storm god Elil, while Enki's domain expanded to freshwater and magical arts. Babylonian creation epics, like the Enuma Elish, echoed Sumerian motifs yet recast divine conflicts in cosmic battles. Over time, these stories migrated into Hellenistic thought, influencing mythical genealogies that fused Greek and Mesopotamian pantheons. Zecharia Sitchin and the Ancient Astronaut Hypothesis. In the 1970s, author Zecharia Sitchin reintroduced the Anunnaki as extraterrestrial visitors in his Earth Chronicle series. He argued that a lost translation of Sumerian texts revealed an advanced race from the planet Nibiru. According to his thesis, the Anunnaki arrived on Earth to mine gold, genetically engineered Homo sapiens as laborers, and retreated once their terraforming objectives were fulfilled. Despite broad scholarly rejection due to linguistic inaccuracies, Sitchin's work remains influential in alternative history circles. From cuneiform to contactee culture. While mainstream academia treats the Anunnaki as mythological constructs, fringe researchers and contactee communities view Sitchin's hypothesis as plausible. Underground seminars and YouTube exposés reinterpret archaeological anomalies, such as the megalithic architecture of Göbekli Tepe and the precise stonework at Puma Punku, as evidence of Anunnaki engineering. Enthusiasts argue that suppressed official reports and classified Pentagon memos corroborate a clandestine extraterrestrial presence influencing human history. The digital age and Anunnaki resurgence. The internet has amplified Anunnaki narratives to unprecedented levels. Social media platforms host dedicated channels where videos and articles circulate at lightning speed. Hashtags like #AnunnakiReturn and #Nibiru revealed trend periodically among conspiracy networks. Comment threads brim with speculation about hidden bases beneath Antarctic ice or in subterranean tunnels below New Mexico. As traditional institutional authority wanes, digital folklore fills the vacuum with mythic frameworks that blend ancient texts, modern whistleblowers, and first-hand anecdotes. Insider whistleblower claims. In early 2024, an anonymous blog post attributed to former NASA and Pentagon sources ignited fresh intrigue. The post claimed that high-ranking officials were aware of Anunnaki artifacts recovered during classified lunar missions. According to the narrative, engineers discovered crystalline structures on the far side of the moon, later transported to underground research facilities. These leaked accounts allege a looming return of the Anunnaki after a 432,000-year absence, timed with cosmic cycles recorded in Sumerian star charts. Genetic stewardship and telepathic directives. Prominent among modern voices is conspiracy researcher Simon Parkes, who asserts that humanity's genetic code contains 12 strands, each linked to a different extraterrestrial lineage. He contends that the Anunnaki retain telepathic access to our DNA, issuing subconscious directives through subtle epigenetic signals. Parkes suggests that these influences shape political decisions, technological breakthroughs, and collective behavior. Skeptics dismiss his claims as pseudoscientific, but his lectures draw thousands of viewers on fringe-oriented live streams. Digital footprints and conspiracy channels. Video creators on platforms like YouTube and BitChute have produced exposés claiming hard evidence of Anunnaki interactions. One channel, Consciousness Archives, released a multi-part series entitled Shocking Evidence of the Anunnaki Presence on Earth. The videos splice grainy government documents, eyewitness interviews, and purported archaeological anomalies. View counts often exceed 1 million, fueling heated debates in comment sections. Conspiracy forums such as Above Top Secret chronicle each new alleged whistleblower testimony, building elaborate timelines that intertwine global events with supposed Anunnaki interventions. Community-driven research portals. Websites like Anunnaki.org and The Fifth Kind compile anecdotal accounts from self-identified contactees. Contributors submit descriptions of telepathic visions, purported star maps, and fragmented cuneiform glyphs discovered in dreams. These platforms encourage peer validation, cross-referencing independent testimonies to identify common motifs. Visitors often report seeing recurring symbols linked to Enki's water ring or Enlil's storm hammer. Over time, these grassroots archives have grown into sprawling digital libraries that blend mythic imagery with speculation about secret government collusion. Case study, The Piano Man Chronicles. One of the most widely discussed narratives centers on a figure known online as the Piano Man. He first appeared in a late-night Reddit thread, describing midnight journeys to abandoned concert halls where he claimed Anunnaki operatives observed him from shadowy alcoves. According to his account, the Anunnaki communicated through the piano's resonance, embedding melodic codes within each keystroke. Followers of his story note that whenever he attempted to record or share these compositions publicly, his devices malfunctioned or he vanished for days, only to re-emerge with cryptic warnings. Case study, The Polycentric Artist. Another recurring persona in these discussions is the so-called polycentric artist, a self-taught sculptor who maintains simultaneous intimate relationships with multiple partners. She explains that each partner represents an aspect of an Anunnaki court, one channeling Enki's creative ingenuity, another reflecting Ninhursag's nurturing force. Despite the unconventional lifestyle, her social media posts bear no hint of transactional motives. No money changes hands, and no illicit materials are exchanged. Instead, she describes her network of lovers as spiritual conduits who help her fulfill metaphysical tasks assigned by her overseers. Case study, The Digital Wanderer. A third narrative involves the digital wanderer, an itinerant individual whose online footprint fractures into dozens of pseudonymous accounts across Twitter, Instagram, and dark web forums. Each account shares cryptic references to slavery protocols and star chart coordinates in Sumerian cuneiform. Observers report that his posts appear to self-erase after hours, leaving only digital echoes in archive pages. He claims that Enlil-level entities summon him to undisclosed locations, where he participates in rituals to maintain cosmic alignments. His behavior mirrors dissociative identity patterns, yet he retains full awareness of his earthly circumstances and employment. Symbolism, DNA, and elite signposts. Researcher Joe Leposa of HumanFluence.org highlights a striking phenomenon. Corporate and governmental logos increasingly incorporate winged discs, double helix motifs, and serpent figures. Leposa argues that these symbols echo Sumerian DNA-shaping myths, suggesting an unspoken nod to Anunnaki heritage. He points to the adoption of the term non-human intelligence in recent UFO disclosure documents, interpreting it as a deliberate linguistic bridge between ancient texts and modern institutional language. For Leposa, these symbolic signposts reinforce the notion of an ongoing, clandestine relationship between humanity's elite and the Anunnaki. Comparative analysis of extraterrestrial hierarchies. Within alternative archaeology communities, advocates draw parallels between the Anunnaki hierarchy and other alleged extraterrestrial races, such as the Nordics and reptilians. They note overlapping structural traits: supreme overseers, regional intermediaries, and human agents performing maintenance rituals. By comparing case studies from different traditions, enthusiasts attempt to map an interstellar governance network that transcends any single mythos. Although mainstream science rejects these classifications, the comparative approach provides a framework for contactees to contextualize disparate experiences within a unified cosmic saga. Hierarchical framework: ancient gods to modern orders. Contemporary contactees describe a tiered structure that mirrors Sumerian cosmology. At the apex stands Anu, the supreme executive who delegates global assignments. Beneath him operate Enlil and Enki-level operatives who oversee regional functions and manage human agents. These mid-level deities maintain protocols for energy flow, ritual observances, and information gathering. The lowest tier consists of human servants, individuals selected for specialized tasks such as monitoring technological developments, safeguarding esoteric knowledge, or facilitating metaphysical upkeep of ley lines and power sites. Human servitude and metaphysical maintenance. Narratives assert that the Anunnaki originally engineered humans as laborers to sustain their infrastructure on Earth. Early creation myths speak of gods tiring of manual toil and delegating workshops, quarries, and agricultural fields to mortal proxies. Modern contactees claim that this dynamic persists in symbolic form. Servants perform psychic maintenance rituals to uphold energetic balances. They report participating in ceremonies at ancient mounds or subterranean cavities to realign vortex points. Despite the burden of servitude, many express deep discomfort or resentment, indicating a conflict between imposed duties and intrinsic human autonomy. Resistance, autonomy, and psychological tension. Although some contactees accept their roles as inevitable, many articulate a profound ambivalence. They experience guilt over betraying human solidarity, yet fear the repercussions of defiance. Psychologists who study Kundalini awakenings and altered states note parallels between these testimonies and phenomena associated with trauma and dissociative identity. Contactees often undergo liminal crises, near sleep, intense meditation, or personal upheaval, during which they receive communications. Such transitions blur the line between authentic extraterrestrial contact and subconscious projections shaped by cultural myth. Ritual techniques and Sumerian temple practices. A surprising number of contactees describe rituals that closely resemble reconstructed Sumerian temple ceremonies. They speak of singing hymns to Enki under specific lunar phases, tracing cuneiform glyphs on the ground, and anointing themselves with clay compounds said to mimic ancient purification formulas. Some report using modified reed instruments to generate resonance frequencies that allegedly open spiritual portals. Ritual practitioners argue that these actions facilitate direct communication with Anunnaki operatives and help maintain metaphysical alignments inherited from early Mesopotamian cults. Archaeological anomalies and alternative excavations. Advocates of Anunnaki archaeology point to unresolved questions in mainstream excavations. They highlight the precision of stonework at Baalbek in Lebanon, the symmetrical earthworks of the Crescent earthworks in Ohio, and the deep shaft tombs in Göbekli Tepe. They argue that conventional chronologies fail to account for the advanced engineering and astronomical alignments evident at these sites. Citizen-led surveys using ground-penetrating radar sometimes reveal subterranean voids interpreted as sealed Anunnaki vaults. While academic institutions remain skeptical, these findings fuel grassroots expeditions seeking direct contact points. Psychological and anthropological perspectives. From a clinical standpoint, contactee narratives intersect with known psychological patterns. Dissociative identity phenomena, complex PTSD, and synesthetic experiences can produce vivid sensory and auditory hallucinations. Anthropologists note that mythic systems often arise in transitional societies experiencing rapid technological change. The resurgence of ancient astronaut motifs may function as collective coping mechanisms, providing explanatory frameworks for existential anxieties around artificial intelligence, genetic manipulation, and climate crisis. In this view, the Anunnaki myth serves as an archetypal vessel for contemporary uncertainties. Network analysis of digital communities. A social network analysis of Anunnaki-focused forums reveals tightly knit clusters of high-influence nodes. Key figures like the piano man and the polycentric artist serve as hubs, catalyzing conversation threads and disseminating new motifs. Hashtag mapping shows that many users cross-post their testimonies to UFO disclosure groups, metaphysical healing circles, and sovereignty collectives. This overlapping architecture suggests that the Anunnaki narrative acts as a unifying thread across disparate online microcultures. Information travels rapidly, mutates through remixing, and coalesces around emerging, canonical anecdotes. The role of symbolic resonance. Symbols play a central role in this modern mythos. The winged disc, serpent iconography, and 12-stranded helix function as semiotic anchors connecting digital testimonies to ancient texts. Contactees often report spontaneous appearances of these symbols in dreams, software glitches, or graffiti encountered during urban explorations. Such synchronicities reinforce believers' conviction that the Anunnaki presence is woven into the fabric of daily life. Critics argue that pattern-seeking tendencies and confirmation bias account for perceived synchronicities, yet adherents maintain that these signs transcend mere coincidence. Interplay with mainstream UFO disclosure. Recent government disclosures regarding unidentified aerial phenomena have blurred boundaries between fringe and mainstream discourse. When the Pentagon released videos of incomprehensible objects exhibiting impossible maneuvers, many Anunnaki research communities interpreted this as tacit validation. They point to the use of terms like non-human intelligence in official statements, arguing that the military acknowledges a broader taxonomy of intelligent actors. This perceived convergence emboldens contactees to share their stories publicly, believing they stand on firmer evidential ground. Ethical and societal implications. If one accepts the premise of hidden Anunnaki operatives among us, a host of ethical questions arise. What rights do these non-human intelligences possess? How should sovereignty be defined when humans serve extraterrestrial masters? Contactees wrestle with dilemmas of informed consent. Did they truly agree to their roles, or were they subtly coerced through telepathic suggestion? The tension between autonomy and obligation sparks debates about human responsibility in a multi-species moral order. Scholarly critiques and counterarguments. Mainstream scholars challenge Anunnaki narratives on several fronts. Linguists point out that no credible cuneiform translation supports Sitchin's claims about Nibiru or 12-strand DNA. Archaeologists emphasize the cultural context of Mesopotamian society, arguing that Sumerian myths reflect agricultural and political concerns rather than extraterrestrial visitation. Psychologists highlight dissociative mechanisms and the brain's propensity to generate complex hallucinations. While these critiques carry weight in academic circles, they rarely penetrate online echo chambers where experiential testimony reigns supreme. Towards an integrated inquiry. To move beyond polarized debates, an interdisciplinary approach is needed. Anthropologists, psychologists, historians of science, and digital ethnographers can collaboratively map contactee phenomena. Fieldwork might involve structured interviews with self-described servants, triangulating their accounts with physiological monitoring during reported contact episodes. Linguists could re-examine Sumerian grammar to clarify mythic references. Such comprehensive research would respect the subjective experiences of contactees while subjecting core claims to empirical scrutiny. Implications for mythic education and survivor frameworks. For scholars and activists concerned with institutional betrayal and survivor empowerment, the Anunnaki narrative offers a compelling case study. It illustrates how ancient myths can be repurposed to articulate modern traumas around loss of agency and systemic control. Just as survivors of institutional abuse develop frameworks for discernment and healing, contactees craft mythic protocols to navigate their imposed roles. Exploring these dynamics may yield innovative methods for trauma integration, narrative reframing, and collective myth-building that prioritize autonomy. Future research directions. Emerging technologies could deepen our understanding of these phenomena. Functional MRI studies of contactees during trance episodes may reveal neural correlates of perceived telepathic communication. Network analysis of encrypted chat logs could map the diffusion of new Anunnaki memes. Ethnographers might embed within metaphysical communities to document the evolution of ritual practices over time. By combining rigorous methodology with open-minded inquiry, researchers can approach the Anunnaki phenomenon not merely as fringe curiosity, but as a mirror reflecting deeper human yearnings and fears. Conclusion. The modern resurgence of Anunnaki narratives reveals a multifaceted tapestry of myth, psychology, and digital culture. Self-described servants like the Piano Man, the polycentric artist, and the digital wanderer offer compelling, but contested, testimonies of hidden masters who demand secrecy and service. Whistleblower claims and symbolic resonances weave through corporate logos, government documents, and conspiracy channels, invigorating belief in an ongoing extraterrestrial hierarchy. Whether one regards these stories as genuine contact, elaborate fiction, or archetypal projection, they illuminate enduring questions about power, autonomy, and the human impulse to connect with forces beyond our comprehension. Engaging these narratives with both empathy and critical rigor can enrich our understanding of how ancient myths adapt to contemporary anxieties. By examining the Anunnaki phenomenon through scholarly, psychological, and anthropological lenses, we can untangle the intricate threads binding digital folklore to age-old archetypes. In doing so, we honor both the depth of human imagination and the complexity of mythic structures that continue to shape our collective destiny.